Welcome back to the 293 Code Podcast. Today's episode is protecting your energy.
When you don't work on yourself for a long period of time and you don't establish who you are as a person, or just a person who is still continuing to heal, you have to be able to protect your energy, because you got a lot of people out there that's going to hate on you. You got a lot of people out there that's going to be jealous, envy, etc. Whatever the case may be. But when you have come from the bottom and you may be halfway or even reaching to the top, you got to be able to protect your energy and watch who you are around, because people out here will try to bring you down to build themselves up. It's very important.
That seems to be the theme, though. I think a lot of the time. I call them vampires because they'll suck onto you. If you got good energy or that energy is just lightning, they'll suck onto that shit. And the toxicity, it's like a magnet. Even though, here's the thing. No, let me redo that. It's like a magnet. It does try to stick onto you.
Right.
Oil and vinegar. They just don't mix. But then at the same time, you got to be careful about the company that you keep, because sometimes people will latch onto you just to see what they can get out of you or learn from you, and then they'll just leave you in the dust and then take off with your ideas or your personality, whatever it could be. But you know what I'm saying? Because now, if you think about it, right, in this generation and even in this time, people do not take the time to look in the mirror and just be able to ask themselves, like, who am I? What am I going to do? What am I going to succeed? Who am I going to become? We all want to be a good person, right? We tell ourselves that all the time. Hey, one thing that we want to accomplish is, hey, I want to be a good individual. But the thing of it is that you have to protect your energy while doing that, because sometimes people make you look like you're the bad person to steal who they see you becoming, just to give themselves like the light. True.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it comes within greed. Greed. If you look at it like just with the influencers and stuff like that or whatever, right? People are always, like on social media, for example, people are always competing against each other just to be on top, and they'll do whatever it takes to get there, no matter who they hurt, who they destroy, anything like that. But if you don't know how to protect your own energy, you know what I'm saying? Low self-esteem, low confidence and everything will drain a person. Just think about with the suicide rates that's going up. Yeah, of course, people are dying every day, but a lot of people are dying because people are sucking their energy.
And it's also like the suicide rate is really high on men.
Right. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Younger men.
You know what I'm saying? We may call it pride, but at the same time, that pride has a lot of energy intake in it.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Think about it. When you build yourself up to be who you want to become, and then somebody just come and just snatch it right up underneath you, and you just like, damn, I worked so hard to get to this point, and then somebody just came by and just easily took it away, suck all your energy, suck the life out of you and everything. Because you know what? As humans, we get tired of starting over. Our day-to-day life, think about it. We start over every day. We start over weekly, Monday through Sunday. We get into a repetitive cycle of doing a routine. But you hear a lot of people when they go to work and they come home, they're drained because they allowed another person to take their energy.
That's true.
And when we allow people to take our energy, what we do, it stays with us for a few days until we have that conversation with ourselves to try to rebuild ourselves back up to be where we need to be. So it's like a washing machine. We just put it on cycle and we just run through it. We have to stop allowing people to take our energy. And some people may say, well, what that look like?
But here, you got to understand, like, I feel like that became pretty much the norm. The part of energy sucking. Your job takes your energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes your kids take your energy.
Yeah.
And then if you say something about it, right, it makes you look like you're the bad person.
Yeah.
Reality that you're not. You're just drained, burnt out, wore out. And I think it's no longer normal. It should have never been normal.
Right.
We have made that a normal. Like, this is what we do. This is how we function. This is how we go about. And like, I feel like people are really operating on autopilot.
Well, we also got this stigma put in our head that the more that we take on, even though people are draining our energy, it's showing that we are a strong individual. No, you're not. Because behind closed doors, you show your weakness to yourself. Because how many times have we had conversations with ourselves when we at home saying like, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. I'm fed up. But then we turn around and we put on that damn mask once we leave the house because we feel like everybody sees us one way. We got to continue to allow ourselves to be strong for everybody else, even though we're the ones that hurting inside. You're not allowed to show that weakness, even though your energy is drained.
True.
And like you said, workplace, friends, family, it's just like, when is there going to come a time where we stop and we start having those conversations with people, but like, you know what? I can't deal with you today. I'm putting up this boundary, right? Because you're taking away my energy. Now we can have a conversation later on when I'm ready and you ready, and we can talk like,
normal human beings, but we can't allow to be pulling back and forth on the energy level. Because sometimes when we have conversations, it get to the point where people like to, when you're talking to somebody who like to drain other people's energy, it's all about, okay, we're going to talk until I'm right. We're not going to leave this conversation until I prove that I'm right. And that's not a conversation.
That's true.
That's a dictatorship.
That is a dictatorship.
You know what I'm saying? But mentally, you know what? We are in that cycle.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is that I'm asking today is like, how do we break that cycle to stop allowing people to take our energy?
Stop trying to be the norm. And then it's easier said than done because it's part of our normal, right?
Right.
Our everyday life. I mean, like I said, it's your job. You know, you got to get up in the morning. You got to go to work. You got to make money, right?
Right.
For things. And I think America has made it to the point where I can't speak on other countries because I don't. There's probably other countries like that. But America has made it to the point where it's our normal.
It's sad though.
Even amongst our friends.
Yeah.
And, you know, and people now we're walking around here anxious, angry, frustrated, you know, and a lot of us are sitting here. Do I even need to do this? I remember watching my grandma growing up, and the first thing she used to do when she got up in the morning was get her newspaper and have her cup of coffee at the table.
Right.
So that was her time, right? We don't have, now it's like a rat race, right? We're always running to something. Somebody needs something.
Yep.
A friend wants us to do this or this or that or this or that. And here we are, we're stuck.
Well, it also go back to proving yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't want people to see you as weak. And when you don't want people to see you as weak, you allow them to drain your energy.
That's true.
And what we need to make normal is start telling people no.
Yeah.
So that you can preserve your energy for yourself. And I think a lot of people
have a hard time telling people no.
They do, because you know what? You're not supposed to. It was kind of like how we was built. You're supposed to help others, because when you help others, it makes you look like a better person. You're a good person. You think about it. You saw it on TV shows growing up, and especially in our generation. Mm-hmm. That's how we was kind of programmed. You help others, and then in return, good things that happen to you.
Right.
That's how it was kind of taught, you know? But it's jacked up though.
I think they took that, you know, it's just, they took it all the wrong way in the sense of like it is taught that we help people, but does that make us a good person? Because you can help people. And I know a lot of people that help people and they're not good people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you got to talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it, like that doesn't mean necessarily you're a good person. That means you need some validation and need someone to see you helping people so they can say you're a good person. Right. But you should know that you're a good person deep down inside. Do you have to help everybody? No, you do not. And like I said, it's based on really an individual. Right. You know what I mean? So who knows how we're going to get out of this system. Like, I can't even give an answer on that. All I know is learn how to work on yourself to say no. Yeah. But I mean it's hard. It's hard to know how to say no if you never was taught that. That's true. Because if you was always taught to help others as others do unto you, then how are you supposed to say no? Because we built in a society where we always trying to prove ourselves to be a good person. We're trying to prove to people they're like, hey, you know, I'm a good person, because, you know, it's been embedded in the American society. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just kind of like, that's why, especially from the mental health aspect, you know, people have to learn how to start protecting their own energy. Whether it's like, you know, you about to be around some people that you can't stand, or, you know, they just draining or whatever. Take a nap before you go. Hell, even take a nap when you get there. You know, I'm the type of person where I have to tune people out. Yeah. Because, you know, there's a time and a place to tell people about themselves. And, you know, sometimes you have to think about the aspect too, like, well, how is this person going to take it when I let them know, like, hey, dog, you draining my energy? No disrespect, but like, if I'm not talking to you, don't talk to me, because I don't have the time to have fake conversations. Yeah, true. You know? So, you know, it's things that has to be taught, because people they get so defensive nowadays.
Like I said, people are based on like having to be right, or we always having to prove each other, and nobody take the time to respect each other energy and space. So, you ask yourself, like, how does that look in society and in the mental health aspect? Is that like when you're going through counseling, you're going through therapy, or you're doing inpatient, treatment or whatever, you learn that energy is very important, because when you at home and you by yourself and there's nobody else around but you learn how to have to listen to your energy, protect what makes you happy, protect what's going to get you to be able to get up, be around people and stuff like that. Because as soon as you build that, and for some people it take a while, some people it take years to learn their own energy space, but in a quick of a dime it can be taken away. So it's like, it's a way of like, it's a type of growth that we all have to learn, but you have to be careful who you allow to be in your circle. Because if it's a person in your circle that like to sip out of your cup, make sure when you come around, you got a lid to cover it up. No slurping over here. For real though.
You mean a lid with a top, or
a lid with a top?
With a hole.
With a top.
With a straw.
Nope. I ain't sharing.
Okay.
I ain't sharing.
You keep coming up with all these.
I'm telling you right now, it's things that I had to learn though.
You can't get that lemonade.
No. You're going to be dehydrated today. For real though. But I mean, like, it's okay. Because how many times have you heard people be like, oh, I'm putting up a boundary, and they boundary it didn't last 2.5 seconds.
Because they got to work on it.
Exactly.
They got to work on it.
Because they already allowed that person to drain their energy, and they just give in. When you got nothing else to give, you just give in. You just be like, you know what? Forget it. They can just do whatever. It's all right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what we need to make the norm is for people to actually listen to themselves. Remember, this is how far I've come. This is my growth. This is my energy. I need to protect it at all costs. Not saying that you got to be mean to people, but you have to evaluate who you around.
Absolutely.
It's almost like you got to put people in like one of those like ratings, 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a lot easier when you get older to do boundaries than it is when you're younger. And I think the reason is, especially around like people who are very toxic, is because like you said, you're trying to find yourself.
Right.
You're trying to find where you fit in, like what makes sense. And when you're young, you're like, oh, I want friends, right? As you get older, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about nobody. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't really want any toxic friends, because when you start having those toxic friends, like those friends that like to go out and fight all the time, or those friends who like to cause drama and say, oh, I don't like drama.
Right.
Right. And so you figure out like, I don't really got to be around this shit. Like,
right.
I always say every time, I'm like, man, I don't give a fuck. That's my new word. I don't give a fuck.
Well, you think about it. When we was younger or whatever, circle of friends was like huge.
It was huge.
Yeah, hella friends. But as you get older, you had to dissect between like, okay, which ones I can tolerate, which ones I can't stand, and the ones that I'm cool with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's a trust factor too as you get older.
But trust have a lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like at the same time, when you look at it, it's like as you get older, you get wiser.
Right. No, you're right. You're completely right. I just learned that as I'm getting older, I'm like, I really don't need a lot of friends. There's people who need a lot of friends. There's people who need a lot of validation. And I don't. Because once you start, and that's another thing, when you say protect your energy, when you need validation all the time, you're going to open your energy gate up to people who are not true to you, right?
Right.
Because you're looking for that validation.
You're right. You absolutely, that word I can't stand. I can't stand when somebody say, oh, I need validation. No, what you need is to sit back down at the table and to listen to yourself and study yourself to know what you actually need that you're trying to get from other people.
Now, we ain't saying that you shouldn't have to take validation no time. Validation can be good, but you should be able to do it yourself as well.
That's what I'm saying. When I mean, you need to sit your ass back at that table. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean, that you're going to be draining somebody else's energy to validate your ass all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about when I mean that right there. You know, it's just that, like, now I understand when some people be like, hey, I'm not a people person. I understand why they say that.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because sometimes people get on your nerves.
Okay.
Because they reaching too much. It's not Halloween every day where you got your hand out looking for candy or you want something sweet. You know what I'm saying? When are you going to start holding yourself accountable for, like, hey, I'm this type of individual. Hey, this is the stuff that I need to do to work on myself. Hey, I'm still continuing to grow. That's being real with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you as a person can't truly say those things, then it's like, what are you doing? Now, don't get it twisted, because you can get some people that'll say some stuff where they know they need to work on it, but they ain't working on it.
Yeah.
So it's a difference. It's a difference. And that's what I mean by those type of people. You're not going to drain my energy. Now, I've been told, like, for me, I know when people drain my energy, because you know what? It's going to show on my face. Sometimes maybe I need to wear sunglasses. But the reason why I show on my face is because I'm not trying to cuss you out in that moment. You know, I don't work too hard to get my energy. So I be damn, I'm out here spreading it around like peanut butter. No, we're not going to do that. Mm. You know what I'm saying? Like, mental health is a real thing. Because I will snap on you. But the truth of the matter is that I have learned how to protect my energy. Like I said, I know when I get pissed off, I need a nap. I need to regroup, rethink about it, you know, start my whole way of thinking over. And that's okay for me. Or I need to walk it off. That's okay for me, because I have to change my mindset.
Yeah, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because, like, for me, my energy, if it get drained, I'm coming back full throttle. But see, everybody's different. Now, let me ask you, how is your energy? When your energy get drained, how do you respond?
I get tired. Well, it depends on the situation. Like with my grandkids, I get tired.
You be done.
I be done. They be running me ragged. But if it's like toxicity and dealing with a one-on-one person, I'll distance myself. Like, I know myself well enough now to distance myself from that person.
Right.
Now, I know, like, if it becomes a setting where we both have to be in a setting,
yeah,
and I really don't want to be around this person, even in that setting, I'll be respectful, but at the same time, distance myself and keep my conversations to a short minimum.
See, that's cool. But see, you know what? When I'm around toxicity, mm-hmm. You know how I get quiet. Mm-hmm. And when I get quiet, it's just like, let me just be quiet. I have to have conversations with myself in my head. Because the thing of the matter is that when I was younger, I allowed people to take advantage of my energy.
Yeah.
It's like where you get a person to say, just let me have a little sip, or just pour me some of your energy. I'm going to give it back. You don't get that back. Mm-hmm. So I'm walking around dehydrated, cotton mouth, heated, and having to start over. You know what I'm saying? And the thing of it is those conversations where you have with yourself where you just like, you know what? Forget everybody. Fuck the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was the wrong way to handle it. Instead of dealing with that person that drained my energy, took it out on everybody. Because when I was younger, it was like me against the world. Right. I'm mad at everybody.
Right.
You know, one person fucking me over, it was like everybody fucking me over. But it wasn't until I was able to grow to see, like, okay, I can't be around this person.
They draining my energy. Not calling them a bad person. It's just like you said, the oil and water, it don't mix.
It don't mix. Even though, like, when you first, like, it's like high school. You meet, like, a group of kids. When it starts cool, right?
Right.
But you pick up subtle red flags and toxicity,
Yep.
right? Where you're just like, but you tend to keep going,
Yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden, it gets more and more and worse and worse. And then that's where the oil and vinegar, you become the water or the oil and vinegar where you're trying to shake shit up and trying to make it work and ain't working.
It ain't working.
So that's why I just kind of move myself to the back and shut my fucking mouth.
And you know what? People don't realize how hard it is.
What, to shut up?
To shut up and just like not want to go off on people because, you know, like people take it the wrong way sometimes when you speaking up for yourself. People may look at it as you being mean, but like they got to understand, like sometimes it can be a buildup when people do that. Or sometimes people just tired. Maybe they feel bullied, you know? Like, I like to think that everybody has a nice soul, right? But then I had to learn, not everybody's soul is nice.
I could say no.
We all don't think the same. And I had to learn the hardest lesson in life is I had to realize not everybody is going to think how I think when it comes to being a good person and having, you know, intentions of good deed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some people good deed is, let me see what I can get out of this. I just want to do it for recognition. I wasn't brought up like that. So it was a lot of hard lessons of learning of people just literally fucking you over because they could. And now I'm holding myself accountable because I allowed it, because I didn't speak up for myself. But now, that ain't me no more. Mm-hmm. Now it's like if I'm quiet, it's a good thing. But trust and believe, you ain't getting nothing over my eyes. I'm only quiet when I need to be.
Yeah.
Because this is time and place for everything. And that's one thing I think as adults we learned over time. You know, back in your younger days, you was wild.
I would pop off the mouth. My friends can tell you. Like, if I'm approach you, like, I'm not going to go to, like, in high school, it was like, he say, she say crap. I'm going to go to the source.
Right. That's what we do. That was one thing we was always taught. You go straight to the source. And it ain't nothing bad about that, but it's just like, you know what? Hey, let's talk about it. Let's work it out. It don't even have to be no arguing, no yelling or anything. Now, the one thing that you can't do, if we having a conversation, don't let your voice go up. That's a trigger for me. Mm-hmm. We can have conversations like adults, but don't let your voice go up because see, now you done took a piece of my energy and then it's just like, that's a trigger. That's a trigger. But you know, Charity, you know, you can get the same way, but that's anybody, right?
Yeah.
Don't nobody like to have a conversation and then the other person's voice go up like they yelling or they trying to like minimize you as a person.
Yeah, I think it's the minimize for me. Like when you start going in and minimizing or just saying like off the rip shit.
Right.
I don't know who you're going to get.
And that's the thing. And that's like the thing that like people really need to understand that like now, especially nowadays in society, a lot of people are unhinged. A lot of people is off medication because they can't afford to get it. And it's coming to like the medicine, the medication. Well, yeah, or the wrong medication because it's like this. You know, I would tell people like, you know what, being on medication or whatever, you know, once your body get used to it, you always having to constantly switch. I'm always having to constantly switch my medication just to be able to be like, hey, I'm looking sane today. You know what I'm saying? But the problem of that is that when people test you, and that medication done wore off or they done got used to your body. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're going to have those days. We're going to have those moments. It comes. But the one thing that triggers me the most is when we always look like we're the one that's insane or crazy.
All we trying to do is speak our truth.
That is true.
Because when you come from trauma and you come from strugglization, you know what I'm saying, you always going to be in a protective mode of having to defend yourself and prove yourself. And like I said before, once you get to the point of where you learned how to build a positive way of energy, you be damned if you're going to let anybody steal it. So a lot of that come not from pride, it come from the heart. Because only you can be able to tell your story of how long it took you to get to that point to where you realize within yourself that, hey, I got something that I built that nobody can take, and I want them to take it anymore. Because you think about how many people who not in their right mind in the moment, right? And they going through a mental health crisis where they done been taken advantage of.
You're right. No, you're right.
I've seen it so much. Hell, I even seen it in the mental hospital when I was on the ward. Yeah, when you being on the ward, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, because like the thing of it is, right? So when you on the mental ward, they tell us, you're not allowed to go in anybody else's rooms. You always had like the little common areas where you can socialize and stuff like that. But we was never really allowed to, like, I wouldn't say like socialize because we was able to socialize, but as far as like you getting really close with a person and really getting to know who they are. Mm-hmm. Because you never know if you being like manipulated, that person draining your energy. You never know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know this person from man to moon.
That's true.
But some people know, depending on their psyche, hey, mental don't do mental.
Nah, you right.
You know what I'm saying? So like there's rules and regulations where you had to be like separate, or you know what I'm saying? Well, of course you're always on watch, but like that comes because some people will suck your energy, not meaning to, but it's just because of their diagnosis. That's what they're known to do.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm a type of person, like if I feel overwhelmed or like you can be in a crowd and that crowd can be sucking your energy, right?
Yeah.
Like just even sometimes being on the road, you get home, you be like, I'm burnt.
Yeah.
Like I take time out. I have to take time out. I haven't been doing a good job about taking time out because I got these motherfucking grandkids.
But you gotta figure it out.
Yeah. So yeah, like no, you know what? I would get that. I see that in like in a hospital setting where a mental institution where somebody like that's a lot of energy because you got to think their energy is probably like all over the place. If you ever met somebody and they're like this and they're all over there, you can feel their energy, right?
Yeah, you can feel their energy, and the thing of it is they didn't want our energy bouncing off each other. And on top of that, you on the floor, you ain't going nowhere. The door is locked. You ain't going nowhere. Now, at least when I was in the hospital ward, I was able to look outside.
Right.
Now, when I was in the mental institution, that window was sealed. You couldn't even see outside unless you went to the courtyard, but you only could look up at Jesus because it was bricked around. So you only could see the sky.
Damn, that's a movie type shit.
It was, but I survived. I survived. But you know what I'm saying? You got, but you know what? You do a lot of self-reflecting though. I did a lot of self-reflecting.
I see.
I had to. Look, they weren't trying to let me out.
I see.
But I mean, on the good note though, like what we're trying to say in this podcast is that like, sit down with yourself, reevaluate your energy, but also write down even on a piece of paper what drains your energy, what gives you more energy. The more energy you have, the more that you can do. Go for a hike. We live in the Pacific Northwest. Right, water rafting. What else? Bungee jump, skydive. Like that's some stuff that some other people can do. I'm not doing it. I'm more to the ground type of person. Now I'll go for a hike, camping, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even get in the swimming pool, but that's very rare. I mean, look, I'm cool with the bathtub or a shower.
Yeah.
But I mean, you gotta find something that where you can relax in your own energy and enjoy who you want to be. That's very important. And people don't realize, especially in the mental health world, that's one thing that you need.
Yeah. You gotta like just not just mental health. You gotta re-up.
Yeah, you do.
So, like, whatever the case, whatever it may be, some people like reading books, like a good movie where you just, you get home, you make a good dinner or pick up dinner, get in the bed and rub your feet together and watch a good movie or
Right.
book, or like a coloring.
Yeah, that's really good.
Coloring.
Legos. Take it back old school. Go get some Play-Doh. Yeah, Play-Doh. Make you a little pet, a tree, whatever. But like, good energy brings out that inner child also.
I like to drink tea. So in the morning, I haven't, like I said, I've been busy. I haven't had time to drink my tea.
And don't forget the lemon and honey.
Yeah, I like hot tea, and I like to sit there. It's kind of like it reminds me of my grandma. That's the peace I see. Like every time I see that, I see my grandmother. Like she would sit at the table,
right,
read her news, and sometimes I would sit at the table with her. She'll give me a little article to read,
right.
And while she drinks her coffee, and she's reading her article, I'm reading my article. I love it.
Now that's good though, but the thing of it is that I like what you're saying is because in the morning you reflecting, you recharging.
Mm-hmm.
Whether sometimes we got to recharge 2 and 3 times out the day, and that's okay.
Especially if we're working around the clock. Like I know a lot of us are working to survive, financial to survive, right? And you do have to recenter yourself before you go to that job because you're like, let me recenter myself before I go to this motherfucking job.
No, you're right. You're right.
So take time out. Like just recenter yourself. Before you go anywhere, before you deal with anybody, you have to do that.
You have to do that. Lord knows you have to do that.
With your kids, you got to do that. You know what I'm saying? Before they get up or before they come in your room and to yourself. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and please let us know how you protect your energy. You can put something on our page, 293Co site, or you can go to our we got a TikTok, right?
Yeah, we have a TikTok.
Okay.
293 Clothing.
Oh, yeah. So go on to our TikTok. Tell us how you protect your energy. Like, let's share some thoughts and ways that, we all protect our energy. That being said, have a good night.
We out.